the Kraken.
We are live. Unfortunately, Coach Frenchie is having some video issues. I think he made some elaborate changes to his video setup. Thank you for joining us this morning on Hockey Nation Live and Pucks and Dreams. Today is Expansion Day, and it's time to release the Kraken. So we've heard some early rumblings already. Hopefully, Coach Frenchie can join us in a second. But in the meantime, we can start looking at what's going to happen tonight with the NHL expansion draft. We also have an entry draft coming up this week. So the NHL entry draft of junior age players starts on Friday. So the first round, we almost forgot about that. We've been focusing so much on the expansion draft. We'll definitely start looking at who we think not only Seattle, but all the other NHL teams will take in the entry draft in the first round. Good morning to John. Carey Price is the Kraken. It's going to be interesting to see. We'll talk about that. Eagle Fang, so is Yanni. So Yanni Gord. You would think that Yanni would be their pick. Julius Caesar will shiver me Kraken in two. I agree. I love this name, by the way. When we were all I'm part of the, there's my Everett thing. I'm in Everett Silvertips, head to U.S. Scout. And I'm actually in Dallas this week for the Pacific High Performance Camp. I don't know what they call it. It's the Western Region High Performance Camp. So it's the first crack that we get to see of the 2007 birth year players that will draft into the WHL. But when they were talking about, hey, what should the name be? There's a long tradition of Metropolitans and some other names in the Seattle area. And I kept saying, the Kraken. And I'm so happy that that's what they picked. It's such a great name. Salud, Nicola. Hopefully you are still here. Bud the Monkey. Hello, everyone. Michael Rosenblatt. I knew Larson would be with the Kraken, and I can't remember if you had included that. I think you did. Yeah, you did. You included Larson in your pick, so very good call on your part. They would have had to sign him. So I think anytime we were doing projections, it was like, would they sign him? But, man, that's a miss we'll talk about that for the Oilers. We also have Greg is here. Thank you. It is a cool pick. I love the Kraken. This is going to be how they got to announce every single game in the beginning. The coach, as I mentioned, Coach Frenchie is having issues with his video. So good vibes. Coach is having some video issues. Exactly. I'm sending you my updated draft I did last night, and it's my final one. I'll have to figure that out because on this computer, I haven't set up that email yet. Let me see if I can get it. I might give you a different email, Michael. See if I have it on this phone. I don't think I even set it on my phone yet. Yeah, I'll have to figure that out. It's only on my one computer, so I'll have to get that access to my email. The name is awesome. Do you think they'll announce the players in alphabetical order by teams for the expansion draft? That would be my assumption. I mean, we've been doing the draft by alphabetical order of the team, right? So it's like we'll start with A and go all the way to Winnipeg. So that would be my assumption, but I don't know. It sounds like there's going to be some kind of, there's Coach Frenchie. Oh, it looks like he's on. All right. We'll add him in 1 sec. It looks like that there'll be some famous people that will be announcing picks, by the way. So they're famous to Seattle, particularly. Brad Marchand, where's the coach? He's right here.
Carey Price stay in Montreal. Confirm officially. Done deal.
Yeah, that's good. I think there was some, they kind of left it out. The picks were put in at 10 a.m. this morning. Is that right?
It just right now is out. I'm on Twitter for the last hours and all the news. I'm going to get the pick before everybody.
Yeah, maybe. But they submitted to the NHL Central Scouting, I believe, the picks this morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. So that was like an hour ago. So the NHL knows the picks, and they're preparing for this evening. We have a lot of people joining us this morning. So Greg's here, Bud the Monkey, Brad Marchand's son, Michael Rosenblatt is here. I missed somebody. Julius Caesar and Eagle Fang were here, and then John Teeter II. He says Carey Price is the Kraken. It sounds like that is not true. That would be a very risky pick, I think.
I don't know what I
contract. It's also like, I think we've said it. The guy's, I think he just had his best run. It's probably the last time you'll see that out of him. And it's not that he wouldn't be a good ambassador for Seattle. It'd be great given his history with Tri-Cities.
No, it's confirmed. It's really confirmed by, like, you know, you talk about Philman and Cervelli and also Pierre Lebrun, confirmed Carey Price. One of the source comes with them, and they are, I'll be honest with you, they are really wrong. Like, I never see them wrong. Like, when they make comments like that, it's because they know it's confirmed.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I think, again, so, you know, these guys have got, when they say sources, their source might be Dan Marr, and Dan Marr is Central Scouting, and they submitted the picks to Dan Marr. So, Dan Marr's probably going, "Hey, Frank, there's no Carey Price on this list." You might tell him that, right? You might not show him the list, but that's what he'll tell him. So some of the other names, Yanni Gourde, I would think Yanni would be picked, and we'll go through some of those picks.
Gourde is officially also done. Cal Fleury will be the one from Montreal.
So. Yeah, I think that's a good choice. I mean, I like Cal Fleury.
Yeah,
we picked him several times, so that makes a lot of sense. Julia says, "Will shiver me Kraken." We had talked to him before. And Nicholas said, "Salut" this morning. So good morning to you and hello. All right, so there is some definitely there's actually a flurry of news. No pun intended to Cal Fleury. Let's just do this. So we will. No, come on, sucker. So Pierre, I was mentioning that I'm in Dallas today for the high performance camp. It's interesting. So tonight's the night. The expansion draft begins at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we have some famous people that are going to be announcing. I think one of them is Marshawn Lynch, who's going to be announcing.
They have fun. What they did, they picked fun athletes around the Seattle.
Sean Kemp is another one, and Sue Bird. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
For people that don't know, you know, Marshawn Lynch is, a very important part of Seattle football. What the heck is the damn team? Why am I blanking on the team? I was going to say Sonics, but that's wrong. The Seahawks, geez. So the Seattle Seahawks, very important part of their championship-winning team. Seattle Seahawks linebacker Bobby Wagner, Mariners outfielder Kyle Lewis, and then former Seattle Supersonics stars Gary Payton and Sean Kemp and Hall of Fame coach Lenny Wilkens will announce. That's amazing. So Lenny Wilkens, by the way, also, Chainsaw Man, thank you for joining us. Seahawks, thanks. I was blanking for 2 seconds. I only lived in Seattle 5 years. You think I would remember that?
Breaking news, Montreal Canadiens announced Trevor Lidowski. He become an assistant coach for the Montreal Canadiens.
And Brad Marchand, I was in Phoenix when this happened. So I was in Arizona, and they were coming back. And then the last second, the interception was brutal. So that's interesting. Trevor Lidowski is a coach where?
For the Montreal Canadiens.
Oh, as an assistant?
Yep, just announced this like 2 minutes ago by Montreal.
And was Trevor coaching in the OHL with Guelph or something?
Not recently.
Or maybe he was in the AHL with Arizona. I can't remember.
He was 10 years with the OHL at some point.
Yeah, that's why. So, but he also, let's see. Let's think about it.
Right, with Sarnia.
Oh, it was Sarnia. That's what it was. I knew he was in the OHL. Okay, there we go. Did I tell you I kind of grew up in Sarnia, Pierre?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, across from Port Huron, Michigan. All right, so today's the day the Seattle Kraken become more than a logo. They will pick players. The one announcement that Michael Rosenblatt called this in his draft. Oh, and Adam Berger is joining us. Good morning, Adam. Thank you for joining us. Good morning. All expect Vegas and the Kraken. Oh, except the Vegas and the Kraken. Thanks, Eagle. Adam Larson to be signed by the Kraken. It's confirmed, right? It's 4 years, $4 million a year.
Yep, confirmed this morning.
So it's a little bit less than his prior contract. Like, it feels like Edmonton really missed the boat on this. Like, why did they let this guy go UFA if they wanted him? Like, the contract's totally reasonable.
It's because they cannot negotiate right now.
But they could have done it like so long ago.
Yeah, but again, like they expect like you have many players like him, right? In NHL, matter of fact, they're going to sign today Jimmy Olechek. So
Right,
I don't understand that one for Seattle because now they become two guys shut down the defensive, but both of them don't score. But I think they're targeting right now in Edmonton is going to be maybe a David Savard. A type the defenseman like that, or they maybe bring back Tyson Barrie. The big news for Edmonton this morning, I don't get it. They gave a contract to Mike Smith, a deal 2 years.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, so that's another rumor around the league right now.
Pierre, like at some point, you've got to correct mistakes. And not that Mike Smith is a mistake, but he missed significant time in a shortened season. He always misses time due to injury. He ain't young. I like Mike Smith, but you've got to deal with the Koskinen contract, and there's got to be another goalie there.
That's the point. They get him. I had to give the benefit doubt to them, to Edmonton, right? Until they bring another goaltender. If they have another goaltender, I have no problem with Mike Smith to be there as number 2 with them.
Yeah, but instead what we're seeing is they made a questionable deal to get Duncan Keith, where yes, it's cheap on salary, but it chews up more cap room, which they don't have a luxury of cap room. So now they lose arguably their only shutdown defenseman that I know of. And now what? They're tripling down, Pierre, on the same goalie that has not been able to get them out of the first round of the playoffs twice.
Yep. That is fun news over there. I don't know what's going on over there, but
it's so bizarre. Like, Kenny Holland was a goalie, like not really an NHL caliber goalie, but his choices on goalies in Detroit and now Edmonton remain a problem. I don't get this. It's so frustrating to watch. If you're Connor McDavid today, you're kind of like, you got to be butting your head against the wall.
Again, depend what he get as a defenseman. They would maybe take that money for Larson to give more to Nurse. They have to pay him next season. So it will be interesting how the direction they're going to get.
You're going to keep
the good news about that for me is that give a chance now. And I think that's the right not the right move, but now that will bring Aiden Bear at the right spot inside that team. And I think that's a good move about that one over there because I think Aiden Bear is better what they show so far by the stat and then its security on that. It's just now you have a good opportunity to do it.
No. Ethan Bear struggles one-on-one, Pierre. He has problems defensively one-on-one in the zone. He's never been that type of D. In junior, he was an offensive defenseman. I really like the guy. But the truth is, particularly the NHL level, he is going to struggle in a top 4 role defensively.
On the graphic via WAR, he's 73%. So at 73%, he's better to many, many defensemen. Is because he's been to the third line pair with Caleb Jones, and now you put two young men together.
No.
I really believe he's going to step up and become defenseman number 4 with Duncan Keith. Now he's going to be with veterans players that would chance helping him to develop. And at the point where, because the salary cap complicate everything, they cannot afford to get like 4 defensemen at $5 million each.
I don't know. He's played an awful lot with Darnell Nurse on the right side, and I don't see him playing.
Tyson Barrie play with him. The
Not
the
why.
pair was Tyson Barry with Nurse. It was Larson with Russell and Caleb Jones and with Edinburgh. And sometimes you add Kulikov on the left side when they got him. That was like the most of the time. That's what they were.
Yeah, I like Ethan. I hope he improves. Um, but a lot of times you go back and watch, and if you look even on Daily Faceoff, you'll see that he's paired with Darnell Nurse a lot. So it's like, I don't know. He's had plenty of opportunity. It's not that he's not going to get better. He's still a young defenseman. But I think the answer for them is probably in Broberg and Bouchard, but they're also very young, and they haven't hit that stride yet. So let's hope. I mean, I think they've got some good prospect. Langenson's reasonable, but I mean, this is just a weird move to me. This is like, well, I mean, the old world's almost entirely washed away, right? Like this was the last remnant of the Taylor Hall trade. So it's a new day in Edmonton.
Taylor Hall is going to accept $6.5 million for 4 years.
Yeah, which I think is really interesting. So it sounds like, is it 6 million times 6 or 6 million times 4?
It's just, only 4.
Oh yeah, so it's 24. Okay,
Yep.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
William, thank you for joining us. Will Seattle get one of Toronto players? They will. I think the debate for me is between McCann, Kerfoot, or the defenseman Dermott.
On what we heard, Kerfoot should be the pick.
Really? Wow, that's interesting. Okay. Tampa's hoping the Kraken take big money contracts. I think they're going to take Yanni Gourde. Would that be your assumption? Have we heard anything about that? That would be.
Hold on. He still was short-lived in Toronto. It looked like now it's confirmed by Frank Saravelli. He's going to get Jared McCann.
Oh, they are. Okay, so it's different.
Yep.
I mean, that was who I thought they would pick. Would be.
They're going to go with Vince Dunn
over Tarasenko.
Yeah.
Interesting. Let's take a look here because there's lots of breaking information because the list was just
it's confirmed right now. So you can talk and I will review those.
Yeah, sure. Let's just take a quick look here. Let's see. So there we go. So the Kraken have passed on Tarasenko. So I'm not totally surprised at this. I think it's gonna be very difficult or impossible for him to return to Seattle or St. Louis, though, doesn't it? Don't you think? Like it feels like there's just a lot of bad blood there. I don't understand what St. Louis is doing. I mean, it's like they've gone to war with the guys that won them a cup. Like Peter Angelo and now Tarasenko. I mean, I don't get this. It's like they've never won anything before, these guys.
Yeah, but they are on a transition, right? So, they are going to lose also Schwartz. Schwartz going to be. So they had St. Louis right now, they're going to turn around, they won the Stanley Cup and you can, at Stain, everybody is leaving. So they're on the transition right now, but Vince Dunn, they are not at the, it's another one never been the top 4 for the St. Louis Blues.
True. Yeah. And Vince Dunn's another guy that one-on-one, he makes, he turns over the puck in weird ways at inopportune times, but he's a young defenseman. He's got some offensive skill. He can get some points. I think he's a right shot defenseman, but he plays left and right. Is he left shot or right? I think he's a right shot, isn't he, Pierre?
Who?
Vince Dunn, I think, is a right shot defenseman.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's a good move for them. It's a lot less contract risk because he was like under $2 million last year. I think they have to sign him, right?
Yep. Should be $3
million.
Brandon Denev from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I've heard Tanev as well. And that I think is a really good pick. He's a versatile player. He's got some speed. He's a little older. Yeah. So that's crazy though, because they just traded a prospect and a draft pick to get McCann. So, so I guess what they end up doing with that is is really to them, it's you picked Philip Hollander in 7th from us, not Jared McCann. And it protected Kerfoot. It protected Dermott. So
That's funny. Like Frank Seravalli right now, he is on fire this
he's
morning.
on fire. I noticed that too. He's got like some crazy stuff.
Well, it's because he got fired by the TSN.
Oh, so he's doing his own thing, and
So
he's back.
now he's with Daily Face Off now.
Saw that. Yeah, that's
So,
great.
that's the reason.
Good. We should try to get Frank on here. So in a sense, this is another, shrewd move. They've not taken Carey Price, so we know that. And it sounds like it's Cale Fleury. He was also talking about the Taylor Hall. Price, hi, Random Life. Thanks for joining us. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so on YouTube. Price, a first-round pick, was the number 5 overall. That is correct. Yanni is about to get a big payday. He is not, because Yanni is already getting a payday, Pierre. He's already making $5 million a year, a contract that a lot of people are saying was too expensive for Tampa because he plays third line, but he's a very versatile player. And I think Michael Rosenblatt made a comment that I think is probably accurate, which is he's the William Karlsson of Vegas. So he's like that pick that they made of they got William Karlsson from Columbus, Vegas did in their expansion draft. And now we got Yanni Gourde. And I think he's very similar. Like he's going to play center. He can play left or right wing. He's got energy. He can score. He can set up players. He can play with higher end players, or he can be more of a checking role. Like very, very versatile player. Yeah. Good morning from Afro's Bitten Canadian Boy. Thank you for joining us. It has been a minute. I don't know where you've been. We've been here every single day. All right. So in addition to this, he makes the comment about the Taylor Hall trade that you were referencing, or the signing that you were referencing. Have we heard any numbers, I wonder, about Jamie Oleksiak? I would think he'd get like $3.5 million. What do you think?
No, it's going to be $4 million.
$4 million as well. Yeah. So it's not too far.
Both of them are similar. So both of them are the same guy, shut down everything on defensive side.
Right. One's left and one's right.
My only concern, the ego with 2 right D back to back with them. So
wait, is Oleksiak a right shot?
I'm sorry again?
Is Oleksiak a right shot? I think it was a left.
The left. I think it was the right one, but
he's left, yeah. But so it's almost like you're going to see on the right side definitely Larson and definitely Dunn. And like, does that mean they're going to take Jake Bean though? I think so. I mean, you would think you would take Bean and you would go Bean, Dunn, and
he scored 6 goals this year.
Who did?
I'll check.
It's funny because when you watch him, he's actually a very good skater for a big guy, and he had some big goals in the playoffs too, didn't he? Like last year, he scored a couple goals in the playoffs, I think.
On the bubble, he scored good.
Yeah. So that kind of got my attention a little bit because I never thought of him as being able to do that. Yeah, Michael, I think I mentioned I don't have access to that email at the moment, so I have to do some maneuvering to get it. The Seattle Kraken are proud to select Carey Price. I don't think so. It sounds like that's not going to happen. Sounds like that they're going to take Cale Fleury instead. They're going to pass on the contract, Random Life. It was kind of intriguing, and it sounds like they're going to pass on. Oh, since we have a 5-minute break in action, everyone's kind of acknowledging that Frank Seravalli's on fire, Pierre.
Yep.
We are not worthy. Oh my goodness, that is so funny. All right, so the other thing, we should probably do this tomorrow, but I do want to mention, like, we forget that we've got an expansion draft on Friday.
Yep.
There's so much intrigue and interest, but as soon as these picks are made, we switch gears really quickly and we start talking about who from junior age players will be drafted into the NHL. The anticipation is Owen Power first. Do we still think that Matt Benner is the pick for Seattle?
I'll be honest with you, nobody knows because everybody was on the expansion draft right now. So we have no clue what Seattle is looking for because nobody knows what kind of team they're going to get. So this is going to be very strange. Like you're going to get some people you never know, and the first round pick going to be selected by different team was what the heck they picked this kid over there. But because that's nobody's watched players.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like I think that teams are going to make their own decisions, obviously. But it's going to be
knowing what Francis looked like, I believe he will look really deep on Matt Bernier. I believe he will get there, but because honestly, he's a good hockey player. But they can get another direction, possible too. But yeah, honestly, I did not look. I know the players, everything like that, but I don't know yet what they're looking for, what they want. Because it's like, I don't know, like try to any team, right? Some team looking for a defenseman. Like Montreal for years was looking for a center.
right.
They're looking for the hole. And Seattle, you have no clue. You don't know if it's a center, a right wing, or LD, or a defenseman until we know their list. So that's why it would be difficult to select right now. Then, but if you go with the best of the best, the people mention all the time, I think you're going to go with Benny.
I mean, if you watch Benner, oh man, my thing's frozen. Am I still on? Am I back? Oh, can you hear me, Pierre?
Oh yeah, you never leave.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of skeptical of Benner, but this is the course that I followed on Benner. They were first talking about him later in the draft. I watched him at the World Junior Championship, and the word on him, he wasn't that skilled. And I'm like, I don't think that's true. And we knew he has a really good motor. He can really, he's got every shift, he shows up and he plays. And that's the good part. And that reminds you of a Dylan Larkin when you look at him. But he does have a lot of skill when you watch him. Now, when I kind of started going, is this guy someone I would normally pick second overall? Because I'm not sure if I project him as a first-line player in the NHL, Pierre. I feel like he is going to top out as a second-line center.
Well, yeah, not many players right now, they're going to be a first-line on that draft.
I would think, and you mentioned this name before, though, if you look at this and go, who can be a first-line player? I mean, definitely there's defensemen here that can play top pairing at some point.
Oh, yeah, but I'm talking about like forward.
Right, and forward. So and then forward, though, William Eklund, you would think could be a top-line player. Like, the question is he a top-line center or is he a top-line wing? We know he can play center. So if Carey can't play for an extended period of time, do we go out and sign a goalie? Well, Carey Price is going back to Montreal, right? And then you've already got Jake Allen and Primo. I think that's the question. Okay, so yeah, I don't think you need to sign a goalie in Montreal. Do you think, Pierre?
Until we don't know the gravity of the injury, so we don't know yet what happening. The good news, Carey Price is going to be there Friday. On Friday, they will know exactly how many months or whatever it is. So at some point, they will maybe looking for a backup if they have to. But they have a lot of, you talk about Primo, but they still have a couple more goaltender in the organization. They can pick it up if we need them. But I think if it's after the year like Rask, I would not be surprised if they pick up like a Jim Raymer or something like that.
James Reimer. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Michael Rosenblatt, I did get your draft pick, so we'll go to that in a second. So thank you for resending that to the other email. And then, the one name that every time I watch him, I'm very intrigued by is Mason McTavish. And he's obviously moved up because of his under 18 world, performance. Is Mason McTavish capable of being a top line player in the NHL? Can this guy be a Tom Wilson, but at center? And is that really a first line guy or is that a second line
guy? I don't know. Like I said, so hard right now to, honestly, I passed 78 hours for the Seattle, and I passed maybe 10 hours only on the draft. So for me right now, I thought until tomorrow I would be jumping on that very hard. I have all the file, everything on that. I know that, but to figure out what they are looking for, what they want the team.
It's a little hard.
And again, because this year is really different, you have no big step between number 2, 3, 4, 5, only to 15. Honestly, you're going to be like you can mix up them, and then you're going to have like Wallstead. Can he go top 10? Can Ottawa
Well,
go with him? So
right.
it's another question like that you're going to get for the next. Like McDavid could be the top 5, but he also can be between 5 to 10 after that, because maybe New Jersey is looking for a specific player, or they're looking for a defenseman, and then they go over McDavid. Now McDavid go Detroit, and I don't think so. Eiserman is going to get him.
It's unfortunate, but I think you're right. Like, he would be such a different player for that team. He has the skill, the size, and the meanness. Man, it would be such a great pick for that. But I really feel like that unless you roll the dice and you go all the way down and try to wait until the end of the draft, which I don't think you'll be there, and you get the Edmonton goalie, to me, like, why wouldn't you go for a guy that, you look at the Vasilevsky example. I mean, Wallstead is that caliber of goalie. Like, can he be Vasilevsky? Well, time will tell. But like prospect-wise, he is that caliber of a prospect. So, which also is an interesting question. I think Seattle's going to come out of this with really good goaltending. And do you think the Kraken will have the same success as Vegas?
Well, again, like this is a good question, because it's a good question, but at the same time you cannot answer. I don't know who would play for Vegas, for Seattle. You know what I mean? You don't know which one is going to be select. You don't know what kind of team. But the exposure of the players this year compared to Vegas is completely so much better. Vegas have no chance like they have right now, like Seattle. Because again, you have not many players like Zucker and Owenson, Duchesne, Tarasenko, Carey Price. They never have that in front of them, for sure. So I think
you're right. They might be better. If they picked some of those guys, they could be better.
But you have two things also you have to remember. They are on the West Conference, where you have 3 teams don't do well. You have San Jose, Los Angeles, and Anaheim.
And Vancouver.
That give you an open up over there. And then you still play with Calgary and Vancouver, where I really believe Seattle at the end of the day is going to be the same similar roster. So that gives them the top 4 on that division. The only one big there is Vegas.
So here's an observation. If you are an NHL general manager, not an expansion team, but a regular one, and you look at why Vegas and soon to be Seattle are going to be successful, they've done it with guys that are depth guys. Like, for the most part, they've been able to stack their lineup with $4 and $5 million salaries, be under the cap. And, Vegas has obviously added at the top end with Peter Angelo at some point, but I feel like that's the blueprint that teams like St. Louis, even Montreal, teams like New York Islanders have followed. And really, to a greater extent, Tampa Bay has followed. Just, they have top end talent to kind of put them over the top. So it just seems like if you're building a roster, not getting caught up on the hype of the superstar player might be really important these days.
Another big news. Kakkonen is not going to be on their selection. They select Vanecek, Dakar, and Trigger.
Vanecek. What's the other goalie?
Dakar for Ottawa.
Ottawa, really?
Yep.
They're banking on him being their minor league goalie, and then Vanecek will be in the NHL probably.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah, that's a big news. So they're going to get maybe about Susie in Minnesota.
Wow, I'm so surprised. I really like Kakkonen.
Well, yeah, maybe a deal between them and Minnesota.
Maybe, or they might. I do think that I rank the Washington goalie a little ahead of him. So maybe that's part of it, which is, you don't want to have to expose the other goalie and worry about losing him, right? So maybe
right now, at that moment we talk about, they have Gord, McCann, Cole Lynn, Cal Fleury, Larson, Danev, Olechek, Dunn, and Drager.
All right, so let's do this in one sec here. So just checking this. So that's what he's saying. He's saying Drager, Vanacek, and Decor. That makes sense. We know the Jared McCann move makes sense. So far, no real bad picks, right? Like Vince Dunn. I don't think there's anything where you'd say, why would you do that? Cale Fleury, I like that pick. Tanev makes a lot of sense. Yanni Gourde, that makes a lot of sense.
So what you can see right now is this part. He's really go with lower young prospect. So you're not going to see big contract over there. You're not going to see a lot of players like a big contract. This is the way he select his team right now. He probably 7-8 players you have. You're not going to expect a lot like $2, $3, $8 million. You don't see this. He really go lower, and he will hitting more the UFA.
So Eagle, I think personally, this is what I said to Pierre earlier in the show, that if you're Frank Saravelli, you know Dan Marr or somebody in Central Scouting, that's not unexpected, and they'll share the list with them privately as part of the media. So that doesn't surprise me. Oh. I think there might be two events on YouTube, Kimberly. So thanks for joining us. I'm glad you found this one. Any chance Bergevin trades his first round pick? Why would he? Why would Bergevin trade his first pick?
He's number 30.
What would he trade it for him?
But I mean, like, can he trade? Yes, because 30 at that trade is not big. So if he gets something like I don't know, like a bottom center, a third center where he can be a spot, whatever he wanted to trade, he could make that trade. If he was at the top 10, I don't think so. He's not going to move up for sure. In my book, I would be surprised if he move up. At least he get 2 second round. But again, at least he's looking for a specific player. But from 2030 to 25 or 30 and 2019, yeah, not much difference over there.
Yeah, it makes sense. Year. All right, so if we take a look at this, we already know some names for sure are going to happen. We haven't heard anything, I don't think, out of Anaheim. Based on the trend, I think it's logical to select an Alexander Volkov. This is not confirmed, by the way, anyone, so we don't know this for sure. But I can see that would make a lot of sense. So would Hayden Fleury, given that they're going to pick Cale Fleury. Which one do you think they would go with, or anyone else?
For which team?
For Anaheim?
Yeah.
Do you think Volkov, or now that they've picked Cale Fleury, would they also
Fleury?
Think they'll pick Hayden?
Yep.
Okay. And then Arizona, we haven't heard too much coming out of there. I like the Michael Bunting thing, but they would have had to have signed him to a contract, so we haven't heard any news around that. I'm going to assume it's going to be either a defenseman like Lubashenkin or a forward like Fisher. What do you think?
I select Fisher, me.
Okay. Let's take a look here. Boston, we were hearing Connor Clifton, but it doesn't sound like there's a lot of room for right shot defensemen. Do you think they'll still go with a defenseman given all the news around D right now?
I took Jeremy.
Yeah, I usually take Lausanne. I don't see anybody on forward that I would want. But it's getting very tight over there on the defensive side, isn't it?
Yep.
One that we haven't talked about is Nick Ritchie. I'm not sure if that fits because he's had a really good year offensively, but I'm not sure like if he's a fit for a Ron Francis. So it'd be interesting to see if he goes off and picks someone like that. Buffalo, I don't know. I've been all over the map. For the most part, I end up picking like Cody Eakin. I wonder if they would go as Agnes Jurgensen. Anything special here that you would want to pick?
Buffalo, I signed UFA Jake McCabe.
So I think the question is, though, I can't see them doing that now that they're picking Alexiak and they're picking.
Yeah, but my selection was this one.
It was, okay. So yeah. I think in this case, I'm just going to go with Eakin It's a guess unless we hear news otherwise. I think we're Mark Giordano. Everyone's pretty settled on that for Calgary. I'd be shocked if they didn't pick him. I would be shocked if he's not the captain. I think Carolina, he still goes Jake Bean. And they're listing Jake Bean as a left shot defenseman. I thought he was a right shot. Maybe he is right shot or left shot. No, he is a left shot. My apologies. So that still makes a ton of sense then. I think given the history, he could go off the board and pick someone like a Morgan Geekie. I like Geekie, by the way. I think he is a guy that if you give more ice time to, he's going to be really good. He's a big 6'3" centerman. He's got some skill. I mean, I wouldn't think they're going to go Niederreiter. Do you feel that they would stay away from him now?
No, I think they go with Jake Bean on that one.
Yeah, that's what I feel. Chicago, I think I've gone back and forth on this. We've heard everything from Zadorov to Zadorov. I've heard Malcolm Subban. I don't think that's going to happen.
And Chicago, for some reason, I picked for some reason Nikita Zadorov.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have picked Nikita Zadorov. So that doesn't surprise me. He's restricted free agent, so they would have to work out a contract.
He's getting him at $3.4 million, but this is a rental for me.
Yeah, a random one.
Oh, Zadorov is going to be really in demand at the trade deadline, worst case.
True. Colorado, I don't know. I've gone all over the map. I think they pick a forward here like JT Compher. Do you disagree with that?
Colorado, I won with oh my God, I won there.
Not Compher? To me, there's kind of like Donskoy and Compher. You could go off the board, but we would have heard something by now if they were going to sign Landeskog, I think. And we've had no indication of that. I'm just going to put Compher in for now because I think that would be a useful player for them. Columbus, I pick Stenlund all the time. Do you think they'll go for Max Domi? I can't imagine it, but
I took Domi.
Yeah. What do you think they'll do now?
I still with Domi.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's put Domi on. I just have no faith in Domi. We know they're going to pick Alexiak from Dallas.
I took Doskui for Colorado. Jeez.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah. I put in Compher. He's a bit younger than Donskoy. Columbus, we have Max Domi. Dallas, Alexiak. Detroit, I've picked Stetcher up till now, but I'm not sure that's going to happen now. There's not a lot on forward. Yeah, unless you go for Svechnikov. Like, I'm not sure what you do on forward. Like, where do they go crazy and go Taro Hirose?
I go with Stetcher.
Yeah, that's what I've been picking. We know Adam Larson from Edmonton. Florida, we are going to take Drager. Los Angeles, I feel like it's going to be one of these forwards, either Lizotte, Grundstrom, or Athanasio, maybe. Could be Brendan Lemieux, but I don't think so.
Yeah, Bottom Monkey is maybe right. The rumor was out also about that one.
About which one?
Compher.
Oh, JT Compher?
Yeah. Giordano is confirmed now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let's see.
Wow.
According to Pierre LeBrun,
Carson Tarasenko from Philadelphia.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know what. I'm gonna just pick Lizotte at this point. I don't know who they're gonna pick from LA. I would pick Grundstrom, maybe. That was kind of what I was leaning towards. Did they take from the Isles yet? We haven't heard any rumors about the Islanders because there's a lot of players on the Islanders.
I select Bellows.
Yeah, and I think that would make a lot of sense. Good morning, Brian Leboutillier. Hope you're having a great day. I'm late. That's all right. We just are glad you joined us. James McKenna, not Landeskog. See, I think again they would have to have worked out a contract, and I think we would have heard something, James. So
He's back in Colorado, so Colorado is going to be doing a big talk to them for the next couple of days before the 28th. They will not him to expose the. They have an agreement with Sila, but they will try to reach his contract before. And at the end of the day, both parties does not want to leave.
Right, I think you're right.
They want to stay together. It's just how they can make this happening. That's what they have. They have no one like Lester don't come back over there, or the Colorado don't want the captain, the player, the fans. Like nothing is something wrong about that one to leave it go. But again, if it's the case, is the money. Now they go to fix my car. I expect 8 and 9 the next couple of days, and after that will be let the go.
That makes sense to me. So who are we hearing from Montreal? Cale Fleury, right? So I think that's a really good pick. Let's see, especially if they have both Fleury brothers. I think they both are very capable of playing in the NHL. I like your pick of Calle Jarnkrok, but I personally picked Johansson. Have we heard anything about Nashville?
Not yet.
Let's see. Yeah, it's been kind of quiet around what's going on in Nashville. I'll be really curious to see that one. Good morning, Rusty. Thank you. We saw your comment before about the Islanders. We'll get there in one sec. I got to pick Johansson in this. I think that but I don't think they're going to based on what they're saying. Like they've passed on every big contract so far. So it would be at this point, I actually would be surprised if they take Ryan Johansson. I wouldn't be surprised if they picked Calle Jarnkrok or even an Eric Holla, but he's unrestricted, so they'd have to sign him. But I think they're definitely going to go forward in this instance. Let's see. What do we got? New Jersey Devils. I don't know. I've been all over the map on this. Andreas Johansson, I like him, but his contract's a lot of money. I could see a Nathan Bastian for New Jersey. I don't know if they pick Andreas Johansson because he's $3.4 million. So I'm just going to put in Nathan Bastian because I think that's a safer pick. New York Islanders, I agree. Let's go. However, I'm not going to lie, I like the Josh Bailey move, but Kiefer Bellows is an inexpensive option.
Mason Appleton, down deal.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, and I think Colin Blackwell, we heard anything about the Rangers?
No, I think at some point I thought Blackwell is going to be the right one, but I would not be surprised if they send Gauthier.
So Carson Twarniski is who they pick? Is that what you're saying for Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was or something like that.
Thanks. Wonder who they're going to try and get from Tampa and Minnesota. I think that it's going to be Yanni Gourde from Tampa and Minnesota. I think Pierre's right. They're not going to pick the goalie, it sounds like. So that means I think they would go to Carson Soucy. That would be my thought.
The deal with Mike Smith is a 2-year contract at $2 million.
I do not understand that. What happens if a player refuses to play for the Kraken? No, they can't.
They get the rights, so he can. So happening, he can refuse, but he stay home and he don't get money.
For Ottawa, I say Chris Tierney or Dadonov, says James. I agree. I've been picking Tierney personally. Good question, Eagle Fang. Wake up, buddy. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. I don't know if they're going to trade him. They won't. The price wasn't right. It was not.
The price was wrong.
The $11 million price tag was too heavy. For Ottawa, they say Tierney or Dadonov. Yes, but it sounds like they're taking Decor, right? So that would rule out Dadonov or Tierney. So they're going to they're going to pick the goalie, James, which is Joey Decor.
Yeah.
Seeing Eberle or Bailey leave is going to suck. I mean, I would not cry about Eberle. Bailey, I would like to see stay with the Islanders. You can replace Eberle, I think, but I think I don't know. We put in Bellows just because.
It's because Bailey scored 8 goals. So do you pay a player for 3 years for five or $5.5 million for scoring about 10, 12 goals?
Yeah, I don't know. But he's a setup man, right? Like he is absolutely.
Oh yeah. That his point are coming for passing. He's not like the scorer of the line usually.
Right, and I think the thing about his assists are there are players who get assists just because they're on a line, and then there's players that the pucks go through and he's creating offense, and that's Josh Bailey. Like, I think Josh Bailey generally has the ability to generate offense for his line mates. So it's a little different. I think they're going to go Dylan Gambrell for San Jose. What do you think?
This one is very difficult because you can go many different, right? And for them, I select
Ryan Donato still.
No, I select Merkley.
Oh, geez. Nick Merkley?
Yep.
Oh, wait. No, San Jose doesn't have Merkley. He's not available. He's not even played a game in the NHL yet.
Merkley?
Nick Merkley? No. That's a different Merkley.
Yeah, it's another Merkley. It's like
that's Merkley in New Jersey.
Yeah. I'm talking about New Jersey.
Oh, got it. Yeah, because Ryan Merkley hasn't really played yet, so.
Yeah.
Let's see. I do want to get to Michael Rosenblatt's last pick. Vince Dunn for St. Louis. We're hearing. I think we're settled on Yanni Gourde.
Gambrell, yeah. At some point, I thought he was Tornado, but I went back to Gambrell.
Yeah, Dylan Gambrell. Toronto. It sounds like it's going to be Jared McCann. And then Vancouver, I don't know. Where did we land on Vancouver? Halerchuk? I think this is going to be inconsequential. I think we'll just leave that.
Lynn.
For Winnipeg?
It's confirmed. Cole Lynn from Vancouver.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So they're going straight up, may never play in the NHL.
Yeah. And Mason Appleton.
And Mason Appleton.
Yep. And they took Vanecek.
Okay. So this is what we're guessing roughly. There's probably some mistakes in here. But if you look at the team, and I think
John Kruk confirmed.
Oh, it is for Nashville? Wow. Yep. So he went straight up, like, don't take on a lot of salary. Let's go back and fix this. All right. So if we take a rough look at this, we haven't really heard anything out of Columbus to confirm if Max.
I just want to mention to you, from what we hear from a big source, they expect with Drager and Adam Lawson, the Seattle Kraken signed 3 more free agents.
Wow. So Alexiak might be one of them.
Alisha will be one, so they still have 2 more.
I wonder who the other 2 would be.
Dano?
Maybe. But it sounds like they're taking Cale Fleury, though.
They're not going to go with different. No, of course they not do that. But
they just signed a.
Yeah, so the team did not have their name there. You have to think about what they have in the UFA, right? So
it's interesting because they get to talk to these guys ahead of everyone. Can they sign 2 players from one team right away? They have to wait, right?
Yeah. So every UFA they select right now, they remove everything from their team.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So
I don't know, like Anaheim right now is not there, right?
Pierre,
and Jose is not there, so maybe they get a UFA over there.
So they're going to come out of the expansion draft with way more cap space, I think, than we were anticipating. So which leads us to believe, they have to get to the floor, so they're going to make some other moves here. Now, the thing that's missing, of course, is a contract, like you said. You're going to have to add in $4 million, so that puts them at 40 million, 44 million, because you got two $4 million contracts. Jake Bean will have to get a contract. So that might be one of the other contracts, Pierre. Vince Dunn needs a contract, so that might be all of them.
Yeah.
So you've got to think it would be 4 million, 4 million. There's 8, probably 2. There's 10. Zadorov might be 4, so that's 16. But it sounds like that might not be their pick then. And then Vince Dunn is probably 3.5, 4 million. And they have to sign Chris Drager. So they probably are like 4, 8, 12, 16 million, 19 million, 23, like 25 million on top of this. So it's literally probably just at the floor. They're probably just around there. And it's interesting that they're taking really what we were saying before, like big time depth players, right? Like I don't see an impactful player in the lot here. If they're going to pass over Johansson, Tarasenko, that's going to be interesting. They've definitely got a team made up of third line guys that might be able to play second line.
Yep.
Interesting moves. All right. I did want to pull up Michael Rosenblatt's list quickly.
I think Rusty, because the way you see how they pick, I would be surprised to get one of the two.
Just reported. They're taking they're not going to take him. Good morning, Dan. Rusty, hopefully it's not the Knights pick.
I would quickly go through the objects.
I think that they had a lot more. Which team is getting gutted hard from the cracks? I mean, I don't know if anybody's getting gutted. I think losing Gord is a big deal for Tampa. They're definitely going to miss him. I think Giordano will hurt Calgary. Calgary, you would think, is going to be poor coming in the upcoming season, but that might be good. Maybe they make a run. They offload some more assets and they make a run at it, like a Shane Wright. What Collier prospect will be available at number 30? There's some pretty good players at 30, but they're not going to be guaranteed NHL guys right away. But I think that from what I look at this draft, there's some decent players there. So you've got a reasonable expectation they'll play at some point, but in what role, it just depends on who you pick. There's a lot of the similar players. So,
yep.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Are we missing anything else? I don't know. So right now, this is definitely not totally confirmed, but a lot of these picks are confirmed. We know that there's some players will have to sign to contracts to make this happen. But very, very deep on defense, Pierre. Like you would think there'd have to be some moves.
The question of the day would be, wrong. I'm wrong. Jordan Eberle, selected by Seattle.
Oh. Wow.
Yep. Confirm. If you're still on Twitter until 2:00 afternoon, you know exactly. You don't have to watch the.
You'll know the whole thing, right?
Yep.
So I mean that changes the complexion a little bit. You've got a guy in Eberle becomes possibly their highest paid player of what we've heard so far. They don't really have a good centerman that's like a number 1 centerman. They got a lot of kind of number 3 guys that could be number 2. So it'd be interesting to see if they do stick with the Yarncroc, because to me the best overall centerman might be Johansson, but he's way overpaid. Like that's a terrible contract.
Yeah.
Eberle's interesting.
Colorado select Jonas Donskoy.
So they are going to pick Donskoy.
Yep. Really interesting. So we'll be live at 7:30 tonight, Eastern time. We're going to go through this. And
That's one less centerman. So, like, who's going to play center for this team? Is Domi going to be your number one center with Yanni Gord? And
but they been right now. We don't know about Domi. That's one there. McCann can play center for sure. I'm not worried about that. Chan Crack Waskers, he can play also there. But again, they have 2 new UFA. So who knows who they get, right?
Crazy. I'm trying to think, are there UFA centers that are really good this year?
So again?
I can't think of any unrestricted free agent centermen that are going to be real good.
Very good. But, you always still have Nick Bonino there. Philippe Dano is over there. They don't have a lot of center as the top, right? But you have a lot. It's going to be on ESPN2 tonight, Frank.
So does that mean we can get it on the ESPN streaming app?
Yes. Well, it will be also NHL Network, of course, but ESPN carry on that show for sure.
Rusty's suggesting that Landeskog might be an Islander. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he'll stay in Colorado.
I don't see them. I don't see him over there.
Yeah. Well, they're going to have, Bud, they're going to have an extra $5.5 million because they're losing Jordan Eberle in the expansion draft, apparently. So they would actually have Landeskog money. They have to sign Pelech.
They have to sign a couple of players after that.
That is true. We all know the picks already. Yeah, it's true. It's kind of crazy. All the leaks. Are you going to look at my draft before you go? Yes. Sorry. Hold on one sec.
You did pretty good overall.
Hold on one second. Sorry. I got to figure out how to do this so that it works. There it is. No, there it is. All right. So it's a little hard to read, Michael, but Michael picked Ryan Johansson. I think it's very unlikely they pick him at this point. We're hearing Calle Jarnkrok. James Van Riemsdyk. It sounds like it's actually a guy that is borderline AHLer, and Carson Twedniski. So I don't know if there's another deal there. Yanni Gord, we all picked Yanni and Tanev. Tierney, it sounds like they're going with
big news here. They settled pass on Jake Bain, and instead they chose Morgan Geekie.
That's what I said, Pierre. Morgan Geekie. Remember, I was telling you, he's a really good player, Pierre. He's 6'3". He can play. He can score in the NHL, I believe.
He should be Jeremy Lauzon at Boston.
So that's really interesting. Morgan Geekie was a WHL player, 6'3". I think he's out of British Columbia or Saskatchewan. I can't remember. He has a brother too that's coming out, Connor Geekie. Actually, there's multiple Geekie brothers. But Morgan, I think he's 6'3" centerman. He's played 38 total NHL games, and he's got 6 goals, 7 assists, 13 points. He's a +4. I think this is a guy with some upside. I think if you give him opportunity, he's going to be able to produce.
I can't wait to see the deal beside those picks tonight. Oh, tomorrow, we want to hear that.
Yeah, that maybe. So that
like that one to get Canada, right? They maybe get like a third round pick or something back, right?
I'm just gonna finish up with where's Michael's thing? Hold on, there it is. So it looks like there's quite a bit of difference between what we picked and what Michael picked and what is actually being picked. So we all thought,
of course, it's going to be like I'm doing my video.
Yeah.
And I'm wrong, like at least for I know right now 7 of them. I'm not going to change it, but too much hour on this.
If Boychuk comes back, they're not. Boychuk's done.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not happening. All right. So
he's already retired. He's already announced.
He's retired. Yeah. So that's interesting. This is hilarious. Sounds like 3 goalies, Decor, Vanacek. All right, so we already confirmed that. I think a lot of praise goes to Saravelli. Let's take a look here one last time. We wanted to say also congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks. 4 games in a row, Pierre.
The Columbus select Gavin Berroter and they pass Max Domi.
Oh, good. Now they have no salary. Like they're never going to meet the floor. So that's really interesting. Yeah, I'm not a big Domi fan.
If you don't, I will get it for you immediately.
Seattle pick Alexander Drew from San Jose.
Who else needs access to that?
So who did they pick from Columbus?
Columbus is Gavin defenseman Berroter.
Wow. That's like straight up minor league stuff, isn't it?
Yep.
Damn. Okay.
So he does not want to have all the crappy.
No contract bolts. Like he wants none of it. A lot of lines were drawn between Canes and Seattle, who might. That team knows about Morgan Geekie. I like that. I don't dislike that. I mentioned his name before. To me, Geekie has upside.
The good news about Dusk, we go to over there. They open up $4 million to negotiate more.
Was he paid that much? Wow.
3.9.
Damn. Yep, 3.9.
And if there are any like big exceptions to who should see what, like I think security wise it's pretty open. Most of the fields on the objects we've talked about so far, it's like
They select Carson Soucy from Minnesota.
All right, so that's confirmed. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
The Vegas home opener is going to be against Seattle. Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that. Well, it'll be interesting to see if Seattle has an NHL arena on time. Let's say.
Last time we talked, we sort of said let's use that as like a.
Man, they got a lot of defensemen, Pierre.
What we're going to need, how to stay
So it makes you wonder if they will pass on Stetcher.
Possible at that moment. But maybe they have like 2 other UFA, right? That's what they talk about. So they maybe get 2 forward. The budget is 81.5, like the rest of the team.
Yeah, they have the same cap as everyone else, which is 81.5. But I think the floor is like 67.
And the good news for them is like team like Toronto, well, not maybe Toronto, but some team are stuck with big contract.
Tampa.
Like Owenson, Duchesne, and that's what he was trying to let it go, like Voracek. So they can pick up those bad contracts, so they are suck it up with that part. Now they are clean, and they can pick their own contract with the player they want to.
Yep, exactly. Just mentioning again, so last night when the Bucks won the championship in the NBA, they were down 2-0 versus Arizona. And they came back. They won 4 games in a row, Pierre. And it's been 50 years since they won the championship. And the player that won the championship for them was Lou Alcindor, which became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And then Giannis, the Greek freak, whose last name I can never pronounce, he had 50 points last night. So lots of neat coincidences in the NBA. So congratulations to the Bucks and Bucks fans.
2 new players, Curtis McDermott for the Los Angeles Kings.
Interesting.
And for the Arizona, Taylor Pitlick.
Tyler Pitlick?
Yep.
I mean, there wasn't much there. So I guess, but I mean, whoa.
And it looked like it would be Jeremy Lauzon. And of course, the connection with the coach over there now. So
True. That's a good point. Wait, who was I? What was the other one? It was Tyler Pitlick. What was the other one?
Curtis McDavid.
Oh, Curtis McDermott. Yeah, Curtis McDermott is a pretty good fourth pairing defenseman, Pierre, but yet another defenseman for this team, and he's
Nathan Bastian from New Jersey.
So we called Bastian, so that's what we picked over here. So that was a good pick.
Okay. And then from that, we can still tie it to the shared.
Is Tavares about? Yeah, thank you, Rusty. I don't know why I was sneezing. Maybe somebody was talking about Nathan Bastian. The Bucks won in 1971, so it was 50 years ago. The Greek Freak had 50 points, Greg. And the last guy that was the leader of that Bucks team was Lou Alcindor, which he became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and was traded to the LA Lakers. So lots of interesting connections there. Bud the Monkey thinks that they'll take Colton, but I don't. At this pace, you're right. Like, you know, you would think that they would. He's picking all the low salaries, but you got to have some salary to meet the floor. Like, they still have to come up with 67 million. Like, at this point, if you look at this.
Right. And then I have some.
Come on.
Stuff there with Keith from yesterday's call.
They're at 34 million, Pierre.
Yeah.
They have 34 million in cap space. So they're at 46 million. So they still have to spend 21. But I think this is deceiving because we know that we got 4 million in Larson and Alexiak. If they do take Zadorov, that would probably be another 4. If they take Dunn, that's probably another 3. So it'll add, you know, another 16 million. So they're like 62. So they're pretty close. They'll be there. They'll be at the floor.
Oh, yes. You're just saying also 2 more new, you know.
Yep.
You go to add more, at least on this right now, $15 more million with 3 new agents.
Yeah, absolutely. Just guys they've already announced they're going to pick. Yeah, the coach is not into basketball. I know.
No. I didn't know what.
Good morning, Oleg. So much information about the Kraken on this channel. Is this our favorite team in the next season? So, Oleg, we are going to do a Release the Kraken, which we're going to do a show specific to Seattle hockey. So we will definitely do a Seattle Kraken show in addition to Montreal, and we'll probably have a Detroit Red Wings one.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
But we won't probably. We will.
The only reason I did opportunity was because we needed it for that particular object. But I want to make sure there's clarity on that.
Since let's create a task for that.
Anything else?
Page layout lockup.
I'm trying to find if there's anything, but I haven't seen anything crazy going on. Let's take a quick look before we close out.
Heather, since you did a POC.
All right.
I think that's it, guys. I don't see any new news.
I think I still have to do a mock-up.
Lozon. I mean, the Columbus one's
So,
strange, but I like Morgan Geeky. I'm kind of low-key excited about that. This one's surprising, so it makes you think there's another deal with Carson Tornitzky. Tornitzky, by the way, like, he had a really good camp last year, and he's a mean physical player, so it might be interesting. If this is what the guy I'm thinking of. Let's take a look at
another question while John's finishing that.
how he's 23 already, Pierre.
Can you clarify for me when is
So, I mean, this is an AHL pick.
created in our process? Is it only
He played for Blackfoot. That's interesting. He played for the Calgary Buffaloes,
meaning we have received a duly signed
Calgary Hitmen.
contract document, or is it at some stage with
But
the
he's
quoting
He's
process?
for sure not an offensive player in the NHL. I mean, I don't even know if he'll play in the NHL.
Two ways that we use the word contract. One is
So that would seem to indicate
customer signing. That would be created.
maybe a little anticlimactic.
Contract
Some of these picks. Like, they certainly didn't go for the sizzle, did they?
Yeah.
They could have picked, some crazy players. Like, they could have picked a Ryan Johansson and a Tarasenko and juiced things up. Giordano's a good pick. It's a very logical, astute, like, conservative. That's the best way to put it, right? It's a very conservative group of selections.
So the video I go to put afternoon, it took me 4 hours.
Jason, what?
And it's about it's my mock draft for tonight, right?
Yeah.
So usually, and it's something NHL have to be better, because right now you go to show up tonight and no excitement. Everybody knows what's happening, right? So the NHL cannot do that. They will have to find the rules where they have to announce at 6 p.m. and they have no time to go to 8, right? Anyway, so I'm not going to change my pick for what we know already, but that's, I mean, like, I'm wrong, like, at least like 40%, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, we were kind of going for teams we wanted to pick, as opposed to I kind of guessed that he would go conservative. So they had the name the Seattle Metropolitans. If you look in the history, they had a player. They won the Stanley Cup, right? And there is a history of hockey in the Seattle area, but it's not. They played in the Pacific Coast Hockey Association from 1915 to 1924. They won 5 PCH championships, and they won the Stanley Cup in 1917 and tied it in 1919. And they lost in the final in 1920. And I'm trying to think of the big star player. Cyclone Taylor. Is that right? No. It wasn't Cyclone Taylor. That was Vancouver.
So my team, I have a 15 forward, 12 defense, 3 goaltender, and I have a 19 contract on 20, and I have a 48 million, 64 million hit so far.
So this is ironic. So the Metropolitans folded in 1924 when a replacement for the Seattle Ice Arena could not be found. It sounds very much like the drama of arenas in Seattle has gone back to the beginning of time. The other team that's been there is the Seattle Totems. And a lot of people wanted the team to be called the Totem. They were a professional team in Seattle in the Pacific Coast Hockey League, which became the WHL. 1944 and 1974, but it's not the same as our WHL. So the last season of their existence, they played in the Central Hockey League, and they played their home games at the Civic Ice Arena, and then later at the Seattle Center Coliseum, which is now called Climate. This is the site of the original arena pier. That's what's whack about this. Like, this arena is old. Now, we know that they've ripped it down to the studs and whatever else, but it's still the bones of a very, 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 very old arena. The Seals were the California Golden Seals. When's the draft starting? It's 8:30 Eastern time. Will this approach lead to winning? It's a really good question. I think they have very good goaltending and very good defense. So they'll be competitive. And I think it's going to be impossible to shut down one guy, and they'll have a lot of guys that can contribute offensively. So I think they're going to be a competitive team. Does this mean they're in the playoffs? I think they would lack the star power, but I don't know what you think. They haven't gone for any stars at all. So I kind of feel like that's going to be the thing holding them back, Greg. How do you think my draft is? I like your draft, Michael. It's obviously, Ron Francis is obviously way more conservative than any of us in conserving his salary. And he didn't go for really any top players, but you can see he's going for players that can contribute offense, play defense. He's got very good defensemen overall, like maybe too many defensemen, Pierre. And he's got very good goaltending. Yeah.
We don't know yet what, like, if you still have 3 more players to go or 2 more players, so you still some news going to hear.
Yep.
So that would change a little bit the situation, right?
Yep. And Greg, this arena site for what is now Climate Pledge was Key Arena, where the Seattle Supersonics played. The last renovation of it made it impossible to play hockey in the building. They intentionally made it so that the end would overhang a hockey arena, so they could not put a team in here. This is the most dysfunctional site in the history of Seattle. And now they have 3,000 to 4,000 fewer seats than they told the NHL because their renovation started flooding. So I'm not really shocked about this. But.
I feel like, I hope it's not my memory failing.
All right, Pierre. Anything else we want to touch on? Bud the Monkey asked, "What's the max you pay for Kaprizov?"
EDRs was like marked as deprecate is because it was used differently. Like even the values were different.
Yeah, Seattle is a mess,
It
Rusty.
wouldn't be like a 1-to-1 match,
But whatever.
Which is why we said let's
It'll be fine.
that.
They have very good owners. That's what's crazy. Like they have a good management team. They have good GM. They have very good ownership. But there's a lot about Seattle that's always been dysfunctional, particularly around hockey. All right. So Pierre, this has been an extra long show. We'll be on again tonight during the draft to see the actuals, but it sounds like we've got most of it nailed down.
Yep. We'll see tonight what happened for sure.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And I'm glad that we got to have Pierre on and we went a little bit overtime. We really appreciate everyone joining us. We have 15 people on, so really happy that you guys could join us. And we will come back. What's the plan tonight? Are we going to come back at 8 p.m. or earlier?
Me, I'm at 7:30.
Seattle Kraken say no to Nashville Predators' 2 big centermen, which is Matt Duchene and Ryan Johansson. I'm not surprised about Duchene. I was very tempted to take a risk on Johansson. Just Pierre knows, because I thought, hey, if I ate $3 million on this guy's salary, I could trade him, or he could be a very useful part of the puzzle. But Ron Francis is absolutely not doing any of that. He took Calle Yarncroc, which is a much cheaper, very versatile guy. And maybe that's a better choice. Like maybe at this point, Calle Yarncroc is as good as Ryan Johansson.
Is there any benefit to us stating though? Yeah, that it's.
I mean, and he's $6 million cheaper.
Your reference might be helpful.
All right, everybody, have to go. Me have a long day.
Yep, I have a long day. Thanks, Pierre.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
This opportunity lost to
Release the Kraken.